And welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters live from New York City at Comic-Con. Are you guys asleep? No? Okay. Oh, there you are. Good. That's awesome. It's great. I heard New York crowds were really good, and then you kind of went a bit quiet on me. We are back for our last game of the evening, but good news, we're back for 3 more days after this as well. Plenty more StarCraft 2. Heart of the Swarm action coming your way. Let's just recap what we've had going on today for the first bracket, bracket A, and show you on the screen. As you can see, Snute came all the way through, then lost in the semi-final. Sand's already gone through this group, through this bracket, and has qualified for the last 16. And then in the lower bracket, our foreign hope has come all the way through to the final to play Hack. So Hack versus Snute is the final game of that particular bracket. We've also had a second bracket going on as well. So bracket B has also been being played concurrently today, and the results are as follows. So Life, we saw a little bit earlier on, losing 2-0. He'll drop down to the lower bracket where he'll play one of the Americans. Suppy and Sasquatch are still there, waiting to go through to play Life for the final place in the round of 16. But for now, we're going to concentrate on our first matchup. It's a very big game indeed for the foreigners. You'll probably notice the Koreans are pretty good at StarCraft here at the Intel Extreme Masters. Well, we've got a bit of a surprise because the final game of this group that decides our last player in the round of 16 features a top player from Team Liquid. Please welcome to the stage, Hack and Snute. Okay, with our players ready to rock and rumble, let's get into our final match of the evening. Here's your commentary team. It's Nathanius and Todd.
Thank you, Red Eye. Welcome back to the casting desk. I'm Nathanius. With me is Todd. We have a Terran versus Zerg to wrap up the festivities here. Todd, our one of our last foreign hopes, Snute versus Hack, who was handily defeated by San.
Yeah, and this matchup is very interesting. Snute, as you said, one of the last foreigners to try and qualify here in the open brackets. He has a very strong Zerg versus Terran. I mean, I know I've said that before for Pug versus Life, and it didn't go well for him, but Snute, he's won tournaments already, he's beat good players, and I think he might actually be the favorite here over Hack.
Yeah, I mean, Hack went for some macro styles in his series versus San, and he's already played one Terran versus Zerg series, taking out Hendralisk in the open bracket, but really didn't seem to find too much success playing that same repetitive style versus San. I'm wondering if he plays more aggressively here versus Snute. We see the map vetoes coming in now. How do you feel about Derelict Watcher and Yansu getting taken out first?
I'm a Protoss player. I don't know, like, you're a Terran player. Well, what can you tell me about this? Are these veto standards?
I mean, it's a lot of people try to focus them back down towards the standard maps. I mean, Hack might not want to play that large whirlwind map against Snute. Derelict Watcher, that third base, you have a very wide open area in front of your natural that can be attacked. And then in the same hand, taking out Yansu, very good for drop play for the Terran. And Belshir Vestige is an interesting veto. Most players seem to like playing on this map.
Okay. In Protoss versus Zerg, it feels like there is pretty much 4 predefined veto if you play the matchup. Is it the same in Terran versus Zerg, or it really comes down to personal preference, you think?
I mean, it often comes down to preference, whether or not you think your opponent is more drop heavy or will stick a little bit more to the Mutalisk play. But our 3 maps, Aklon, Wastes, Polar Knight, and Frost. I think this is interesting. I think having Polar Knight in for TVZs is kind of neat.
How so?
Well, it's Polar Knight, there's so much space around the main. You know, as a Zerg player, if you want to go for Mutalisk play, there's a lot of area to jump around. There's space behind the natural. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier as to why it was vetoed in one of the earlier matchups. And Also to consider, great for the drop play. You can hit it from any angle, basically that main base. And I think for the Zerg player, the third base is extended quite far. Very easy, I think, to put pressure on as a Zerg.
Unless you break the ice. It's always good to break the ice and take a base, a hidden base, I guess, to some extent. But I'm trying to picture a Terran versus Zerg on Polar Knights, and like, you have to, if you take the middle base as Terran as a third base, don't you think you have to Planetary Fortress it, or?
Well, I mean, a lot of Terran players like to open up with the 3 command center builds.
Yeah.
It's possible that Hack throws something completely out of left field on this series, just because this is not a dad drop map. Maybe he's one of the Terran players that'll throw in a curveball Hellbat drop or something like that. But when you play the standard style of 3 command center, getting that placed versus any type of speedling opening, there's a lot of distance to cover between the natural and the third base. It makes your Hellions incredibly valuable, I think, in the early phase of that game. Opening without Hellions is incredibly risky. It might even make this almost one of those maps you want to be really aggressive early on.
I think there is almost no chance we might see something crazy here out of Hack. He really strikes me as a player that likes to play standard and just outplays opponents from there. And same thing goes for Snute, although in Zerg versus Terran, some players have been known sometimes to throw in some crazy all-in, and although I haven't seen Snute do that all that often, there is a small possibility. But I do think that's his strength is with a third base, a fourth base, saturating them very, very well and very early on, making lots of drones, sometimes even taking some risks, and then from there, pumping out a lot of units and reaching the later parts of the game, or at least in the mid-game. I think Snute is one of the very best Zerg veteran players. Yeah,
and he certainly has had a lot of success with early aggressive plays. I think the last time I remember casting him was versus MMA in DreamHack Bucharest, and there was a lot of heavy draw play that was able to shut him down. So I'm wondering if he's still solid against that. And you do make a great point. Hack, he opened Command Center first, both games versus Sun in his Terran versus Protoss series, not showing that he wants to open up with anything really aggressive. And I think on this map, as long as he plays it, he has to be very cautious moving out when he takes that third base, but it certainly has a decent chance.
Don't Snute strike you as one of those players that will use Mutalisks a lot more often than he will use Roaches?
Well, it's kind of interesting. He liked Roaches a lot in Wings of Liberty, but I think he's one of those guys. I think he even said he's been trying to push a little bit further away from that in Heart of the Swarm. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting
against Terran at least, because in Zerg versus Zerg, it's been all about the Roaches for quite some time now.
Yeah, there's always been a decent variety of attacks, especially with Terrans just going for the 3 command center builds so much. But the map we're actually starting on is Akalon Wastes, a pretty classic map for Heart of the Swarm, really actually the first Heart of the Swarm map that really came into play, still being used. Great map for getting out of that third base. Also pretty solid map for getting the fourth. I think this is really just a good map for both races. Maybe the Zerg doesn't like it as much since they generally speaking will get to that early third base on any map anyway.
Yeah, on this map it feels easier to expand than on some other maps, and that bothers some people, so they end up removing it. At least I know that's the case in Protoss vs Zerg, especially from the Zerg side. They remove it very often, saying that it's too easy for Protoss to take expansions, but some other Zergs, they embrace that. They love to expand themselves, and they will do just that. If you take a third base as Protoss, they will take 5 bases, they will saturate 10 gases, and they will be able to make magic happen. So we'll see here what Snute has in is preparing basically, and yeah, you know what I was saying about Snute liking to make a lot of drones and sometimes taking some risks. We could see something like that here.
Yeah, this isn't a bad map for it.
Yeah, if he spots a third command center going up, which a lot of the time you're going to be able to see, he might just go and rush to 70, 80 drones and not make too many units.
Yeah, that's another good point about this map. There's a pretty solid number of areas that you can put overlords in the beginning of the game to get the scouting information. There's a couple of spots behind the natural expansion of the Terran player, and even in the north side of the main, it's hard to hide tech.
Hello.
Hello there. Of course, this is Intel Extreme Masters in New York. It's happening at Comic-Con, so lots of interesting characters to be seen.
Lots of nice costumes.
Yeah. Lots of very creative cosplays.
Are you a costume kind of guy?
Not really. Thought about bringing my bat suit to cast in, but...
All right.
We've got Snute getting ready. He's got the scarf on. You kind of commented on this earlier. You feel this gives him an edge in this match?
Not really. Maybe it's the Ocelot effect.
Oh, perhaps. Yeah, so get the mind games going. But guys, we're loading into this game, Snute versus Hack. We're going to be starting it now on Akalon Wastes. This should be a great series, Todd. A shot of this crowd, this wonderful, awesome venue. But here we go. Snute versus Hack. Terran versus Zerg, trying to get into Group Stage 2. Welcome to Akalon Way, spawning in the bottom right position as the red Zerg player, the Swede. From Team Liquid, it is Snute. Has the Yoshi next to his computer as well, bringing him that luck. And his opponent in the top left position, the blue Terran player from StarTale, it is Hack.
First thing I noticed, the way the Overlord was sent out on the map by Snute. Maybe, isn't that a little bit unusual, where he's queued, that one Overlord?
Well, I mean, when you're playing versus Korean Terrans, there's a couple of decent spots for 2-Raxes.
Yeah.
It's one of those, this is one of those maps where the proxy could almost go anywhere, and as long as you get it to that position where it can scout, it's not the worst thing ever. Snute might also be thinking about sending out a drone scout either way to check, worst comes to worst, there's a natural expansion. But Hack, he brought his SCV back home. It does look like he'll just be getting together, and probably another command center first play.
Of course, thanks to our observer in Feza, doing a fantastic job as always. And Snute, I thought this was a Zerg versus Protoss thing, but he's rallied his second Overlord to his natural expansion here.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't want to take any risks at all.
Usually you see this against Protoss because they can get cannon rushed, especially if they go hatchery first, but in this case, just making sure there's nothing too funky happening there, and the command center first went down here for Hack.
Yeah.
As you predicted.
Yeah, but just walling off the top of that ramp. Snute needs a quick pause. Hopefully everything is all right. We'll get that sorted out as quickly as we can. But, well, I think pretty slow opening. You kind of mentioned a few of the things that Snute had done as far as the Overlord positioning goes. I think when you're playing versus someone like Hack, if you're Snute and you feel comfortable in the macro game versus Terran, you can afford to make a couple of constellations at the beginning just for that safety. If he's thinking about this late game, then the last thing you want to do is get shut down by an early proxy barracks and Reapers or Marines, all sorts of horrible things that Terrans can do to you at the start of a game.
Yeah, Acheron really strikes me as an economic map, like I said before. So some players, because of that, will try to counter that greed, I guess you could say, that some people might want to use to gain some kind of advantage in the game. And some other players, they just embrace this economic side of things. They just want to make as much money early on in the game as possible to make huge armies, and they want to go to the late game. And Hack and Snute, they are two of these players. So far in this game, they are not going to be aggressive at all. They're just going to open with a lot of economy.
Yeah, we saw Hack do this same, not necessarily style, obviously different matchup, but they had this mindset of playing the macro game and really looking for the late game no matter what his opponent threw at him. So Snute's Overlord's going across the field. Gas being taken by Hack. It's going to be most likely that standard. You get the gas going, couple Marines, factory, reactor, Hellions, and that could be that potential third command center play that we were talking about earlier, which gives Snute that option of well, playing greedily himself. He's sending out another drone. This could be very well for a fast third base. Yeah, and
Snute, he loves to get a lot of drones. He loves to go to the mid game with a very strong economy. Actually, the drone is heading across the map now.
I guess
he was just checking if anything was coming. Maybe a Reaper timing. I guess that's a little bit too early. It will arrive at like 350, I think.
Yeah, wouldn't really be able to do terribly much of that. But we've seen him just playing so cautiously, and he's actually taking a gas now in his main base. So Snute might not be looking to do that incredible amount of greed. He's going to keep the options open. He knows, or at least he'll have a good idea, that this command center first play is coming very soon. But he doesn't want to take the chance. By getting the gas, it ensures he'll have speed available to deal with anything like a fast Reaper play, as he does finally get this Overlord over towards his opponent's base.
Yeah, he has only the one Overlord towards Hack's base right now. And I said, a lot of the time Zerg is going to be able to see the third command center if it goes down, but in this case, I'm not sure. If Hack somehow senses that there might be this Overlord headed towards his main, he might be able to kill it before it sees anything. Oh! Zerglings are making their way towards Hack's ramp here, and he's going to have to be very careful. He's got only 2 Marines right now.
Yeah, no reactor on the barracks either. These Lings doing a bit of damage, trying to pick off at least one of these Marines. Will be able to score that. The second Marine, though, stays alive. SCV did a great job of tanking some of the damage. There's the reactor. There is the third command center. You make a great point, Tyler. With only one Overlord here, the direction he chooses to go in with this to scout is going to determine pretty much everything about what he knows. And did he see? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he saw that command center when the Zerglings ran up, though. So he should have an idea that is there.
Hack, since he saw the gas of Snute, he knows there is the possibility of some aggression later on. He knows that's not going to come just yet. So he's going to start walling off his ramp here, which I really like. Double supply depot and a bunker as well. If this is completely walled off when speed finishes, he's going to be completely safe against everything. And really nice play so far from both players, but I have to say, Hack, I'm very impressed with the way he's played it so far. Numada Scarpe is being researched here. I think Snute really wants to scout.
I think if you only have one Overlord, you might as well get the speed upgrade, because if that Overlord misses something, if this turned out to be some sort of play where instead of a third command center, it was 2 additional barracks and there was a big stim timing coming in, Hack gets the Hellion in, he scouts everything. But by having the information, Snute can be a little bit more comfortable since, well, he hasn't really gotten that key scouting so far.
And a Rotorn is going down at the expansion of Snute here. He's started spreading a little bit. Do you think there is any chance we might see some aggression here? He's just about to see the third command center. So I guess he makes the choice now, but so far he's been only droning up.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because he has that option, as you said. The additional barracks infrastructure is starting up. And just a quick note, he's getting a second barracks before he actually adds on any engineering bays. So Hack is willing to delay his upgrades for safety. The Hellions come out, there are some speedlings here, should be able to clean these up with not too much trouble. 4 roaches being made, a rather defensive setup. If we see him go closer towards 8, 10, that'll be a sign he really wants to bring the heat, but he's also adding on 2 evolution chambers. It doesn't seem like he wants to go for too much pressure at the start.
That's Snute for you right there. Economic, but he's trying to play the minimum safe. Oh, those Hellions! They're going to go for a run-by in the main here, and they do get into the main.
Yeah, Zerglings managed to pick one off very quickly. He's not going to be able to do too much here, as these units are just going to corner him more and more. All of the Hellions pretty much cleaned up. Last one gets taken out. No drone kills. He gets information. He knows there's 2 evolution chambers, but what Zerg generally doesn't go upgrades. All he knows is that it's not going to be a very fast all-in attack, despite there being a Roach Warren, since he has to wait for those upgrade investments to pay off. And he still has that Overlord in the main base of Hack. He can come in and check again what's coming in. The upgrades have started for Hack, but look at that. You said it yourself, Todd. Snute loves taking advantage of greed, and there we go. A very fast 4th base, sub 9 minutes.
He does this very often. Don't you think this was a huge loss, by the way? Like losing 4 Hellions like that, only killing a very few Zerglings, not killing a single drone?
Yeah, it's a risky maneuver to take, because sometimes a Zerg player will try to get that fast 3rd base. He did that early Zergling poke, so it seemed like maybe he wanted to do that pressure and then just go complete macro behind it. But it's a great way to defensively play for Snute, and it's a great way to shut down Terran players that try to go for those run-bys. You know, it's so often called a gamble, and sometimes you lose big.
Indeed. I've been on the wrong hand of that gamble a few times myself. Oh, I like... Maybe he shouldn't kill the rock. Okay, he's going to completely kill it, make sure there's no run-by into his 3rd base. You know, if you keep those very low hit points and the opponent comes in, you just crush him with the rocks when they fall.
Yeah. So it's fun.
This can backfire very easily as well.
It can backfire very, very, very quickly. But as far as the setup goes, the armory is on the way. Both of these players really pressing that macro. We have the 1-1 coming through. The lair is on the way as well. Macro hatchery being added in the main base for Snute, getting him extra larva to continue to produce those units, and combat shield for Hack. So not really too much action. And with the rocks being knocked down, Snute knows about this 3rd base. The Overlord does manage to spot it, but neither player can really hurt each other just yet. We don't have those... Actually, I wonder, where's the... Yeah, he has a couple medevacs out now, but he hasn't tried to actually move across the field just yet, now stepping out of his base.
I like how Snute has placed some overlords around the map, especially on the bottom left-hand side, making sure he can spot any kind of drop headed his way. The crit spread is very decent, not quite Scarlet-esque, but still pretty good. And since he's expecting an attack, he's going to start morphing in Banelings. Snute with the slight supply lead right now. I think he should be fine if he keeps on making units from there, which he is. 20 more Zerglings on the way. He's actually a little bit behind army supply, 52 to 57 right now.
Well, he set himself up for a flank. The Marines and Marauders moving in on this 4th. There's 2 medevacs here to help save these. The Banelings without the speed get targeted. Very nice control here from Hack. 1 detonation goes off on the Marauder. The Zerglings get a surround. He will be able to force the Startail player away. And Snute, he's so far managed to keep this 4th base intact.
That was such good micro here by Hack. He targeted down the Banelings perfectly. Only one of those got a good hit. This could have gone very, very badly for him. If those Banelings had connected well, he could have lost everything and not killed much, but in the end he killed a lot and didn't lose all that much himself, so he traded quite cost-effectively here.
Yeah, I love this pressure that Hack is bringing on. Double medevac going towards the south side. That creep tumor does spot it, so he'll be aware that it's coming, but he still has to worry about the front side. There are the Zerglings being sent home. What's left to defend?
Is this enough Zerglings? Oh, there's some Widow Mines in there.
Oh, this could do a huge amount of damage to this defensive force. He's trying to bait out the shots with individual lings. No luck just yet. Cleaning up most of those lings. Now he has to send the rest of the units back home. A few roaches trying to help deal with this attack. The Widowmine's in the back. If too much commits to this and he tries to chase these Marines onto the medevacs, he can load up and potentially deal a lot of damage with those Widowmines. It's preventing him from trying to engage this.
Yeah, there was not enough Zerglings sent there to help dispatch of this drop, and Hack is trading very, very well right now. I guess Snute is going to hold, but Hack has done a lot of damage. And look, more units being dropped onto the force base now.
Yeah, he's just continuously bringing this pressure, those Widow Mines, off of their detonations. But we have another force moving out for the StarTale Terran player, really trying to bring the pressure to this fourth base. In the meantime, he has a fourth command center on the way. Both players getting their 2-2 drilling claws, vehicle armor, and this drop continuing to just reinforce endlessly. Hack is trying to knock this fourth base down. It's going to take some really solid control, Todd. Here he comes, the Banelings moving in, the Zerglings trying to get a wraparound on this army. The creep, he's off it, but the Mutalisks can help to pick off these medevacs as well, taking some great shots. But Hack, he's still got the force. Once all these Banelings are gone, how do you stop these Marines from just continuously pressing in? He's coming in even again, another scan. He's just trying to get that position. The army supply in such a big favor of Hack. He's bringing the pressure. The Banelings are morphing in, but the Marines getting right on top of them. The Zerglings with the surround and these Mutalisks trying to get this last few hits off to knock him away. But the Banelings morph and he lifts up immediately. Widowmine picks off all the Banelings, and Hack is in a fantastic position. These Mutalisks trying to hold the Marines off, but the supply is just helping him so much more. The army supply really playing a big difference here in this engagement now. Targeting down this fourth base, the Mutalisks trying to get on top of him. Todd, he is looking so good, trying to move in with the surround on these Zerglings.
And I think he might have done it here. Snute, he's lost all of his Banelings. He's trying to morph some of them. There's just too much from Hack. Look at the minimap. More units being rallied across the map now.
Banelings get a few detonations. The Mutalisks still being forced to fight these Marines head-to-head. He's secured the fourth base, morphing into a planetary fortress. He has everything going behind him for this. The +3 attack, the +3 armor soon as well. And now chasing down the drones with this Bioforce. The Widowmine stepping forward as well at the same time. There's a hive on the way for Snute, but isn't even going to be relevant this game. The push is breaking now towards that third base. It's coming in. Banelings are being morphed on the right side as well. Almost double the army supply coming in. Hack, Snute, bringing these Banelings a fantastic split. There's still Marines left over. The Muta's trying to shove it back, but more reinforcements coming in for Hack. Up 40 supply, pressing into the natural expansion of Snute. He doesn't have too much more to defend. This 20 Lings on the way, 4 Mutalisks as well. The hive halfway done, but there's the GG, and StarTale Hack tames game number 1 over the Team Liquid Zerg player.
Very impressive play here by Hack. Very solid macro. He was relentless with his attacks, and Snute kind of fell apart. We're not used to seeing this from Snute. I said it immediately when he was getting dropped in his main. Is this enough Zerglings? No, it was not enough. He didn't send enough there. He needed some Banelings as well. He needed the support from some Queens. He had nothing to kill the Medivacs yet. He got his Mutas very, very late. And in the end, Hack capitalized on this mistake. With the Widow Mines, they helped so much. And his micro in those fights has been so impressive. He targeted the Banelings manually so many times. He made sure there was no great connections hitting his army.
Yeah.
And did you see what he did with the Widow Mines when he dropped them in? The Widow Mines never detonated.
Yeah.
He didn't even unburrow them. I wonder how he did that. Like, did he press stop all the time?
It's possible if you click rally, but
okay.
you just really you have to say great control from Hack. Snute getting some words of advice from his teammate TLO. He's yeah, that's one of those games that can shake you up a little bit. Everything seemed to be going very well until the drop play started to hit. Hack, he did what it kind of looked like he wanted to do versus his Protoss opponent, San, earlier. Just open up very economically and then push out once he gets himself situated on 3 bases. It worked out so well for him this game. And yeah, I just want to reiterate, the Baneling snipes with those Marines were so good at that fourth base.
Okay, you're a Terran player, and I know for a fact that you struggle a little bit against Zerg. How inspiring is this for you to watch this? Does it make you want to play right now against Zerg? Would you feel confident using this style?
No.
Why?
Not versus Snute. It's still...
Okay.
But, it is really good to see the Terran player pull off those maneuvers, because when you can keep the Bioforce alive, you just kind of imagine, because we had said if he hadn't picked off those Banelings and that drop gets cleaned up immediately, and those 2 medevacs have to go home, then the drop that goes to the bottom, he can send everything there to defend it. It really came down to keeping the drops alive and forcing Snute to choose which base to defend, where to multitask. And that's also one of the weaknesses of getting such an early fourth. As you stated, the Mutalisks came out incredibly late.
Yes, and I mean, those drops, man. I was really surprised he was able to make this work this well. I have casted actually quite some games of Snute, in European tournaments, once in UK. He took down Sting in Grand Finals 3-0. And every time I've seen him against Terran, he looked very convincing. He was able to defend everything and go very comfortably into the mid game, into the late game, where he looked unstoppable. But in this game, he looked very mortal, I guess. He took a lot of damage from some point from the drops, and then from there he just kind of fell apart. And Hack made everything work that game.
Yeah, he seemed to find every possible hole in Snute's play, but we're in the game now. Map number 2 is going to be Polar Night, Todd. We see Snute versus Hack. Game number 2, we have the Korean Terran player up 1-0. And, well, here we are. Spawning in the top position of the map is Polar Night. The red Zerg player down 0-1 in this best of 3. From Team Liquid, it is Snute. Focused intently, definitely wants to make a recovery after that last game, but his opponent spawning in the bottom position. The blue Terran player from Team Startail, it is Hack.
Okay, how likely do you think it is they play similar style on this map?
I mean, from what we've seen from Hack so far in this tournament, him doing the exact same thing is almost it's almost inevitable. Even after the loss versus Son, he still went for the same exact style, didn't try to mix it up. So with a win versus Snute, I think he says to himself, well, it worked out. There's not really much of a reason to deviate from what I've already been doing.
Yeah.
But Snute, on the other hand, I'm kind of wondering what we're going to see here. A lot of SCVs queued up on that command center as well. Definitely an indicator that he wants to go command center first.
Pretty sure Snute is going to go again for hatchery first. He's already getting some work done with his overlords to make sure there is no proxy on the map. That could be very dangerous for him. And I mean, I like the way Snute opened and like how it took a quick fourth, but it's just the defense that was barely not good enough. You know, the flank that he prepared on the top right-hand side with the Zerglings, this came too late. If he had waited for that, he got good Baneling connections on the top right-hand side. This is a completely different game that we see on Aquilon Way. So here, he's going to have to correct this mistake and make sure he defends better against the aggression that Hack is going to bring, because he is going to bring aggression.
Yeah, and it's going to be at that time where you need to have all the upgrades settled. Another thing about that fourth hatchery that Snute got, when you go for those early bases, anything that delays your tech, it's not just the upgrades, because he had a really well-timed 2-2. It was barely ahead of Hacks, but you delay your Baneling speed, delay the Mutalisks. As you stated, cleaning up those medevacs becomes very difficult. One of the best advantages of any type of bio play versus a Roach setup is that, generally speaking, when you go for those defensive roaches like Snute did, that's also another thing that delays it. So it makes it very, very difficult to actually get the upgrades like the Baneling speed, to get the Mutalisks. And the Terran player can just pick up and drop all day long as you don't have any anti-air.
And I have to say, I was very impressed with Hack's macro behind all this. He was not just macroing very well during the fights. Behind this, his macro was impeccable. He got the Force Command Center, he kept on adding factories, barracks, getting his upgrades going. He was doing everything right, and you have to be such a fast player to be able to do that. And he's just that, I guess.
Yeah, it's a trademark of any good Korean Terran players, being able to pull off all of those things at once, especially in our team with a player like Bomber. You know, just the ultimate role model, look up for incredible macro while pumping out endless amounts of bio. But what I'm wondering mostly is what kind of deviation we're going to see from Snute. He's still opening up with this gas. Despite having a much earlier Overlord scout, something that was a bit different than the Aquilon Waste game, he got a very fast read on what Hack was doing. So
this time, he has 2 Overlords. That's much better,
And he saw the command center as it was building. So it's not one of those situations where you get gas because you're not sure what's coming. It could be one of those intentional things where he's saying, I have an opportunity to maybe do some damage, but Hack gets his SCV in, gets the read off, and he knows exactly what's coming.
I think Snute, if I was him, I would just try to play a similar style, just a little bit better. Like not even try to get the Mutas earlier, just like try to defend perfectly overall and split units a little bit. Like imagine you keep a few Banelings in your main just ready for drops as well. That would have really helped. Now he had nothing. So although he saw the Medivacs coming, the units had the time to land before the Zerglings got there. And then he tried to bait the Widowmine shot onto the Bioforce of Hack, but Hack did not let this happen. And look at Hack again being very careful here, walling off at his expansion before the 6 minutes, making sure he does not die to any kind of big Zergling run by or anything like that.
Yeah, I think pretty much any Terran player can agree there's just a few things that feel worse than getting hit with those fast speedling timings right before you have your Hellions out. And they are coming. Hack is getting the 3rd command center. He's just sticking to his guns, that macro style. And Snute, he's actually not changing up too much himself. He's getting the potentially defensive Roach Warren.
Yeah.
He has Zergling speed. He's even getting the pneumaticized Carapace for that Overlord speed. And what my biggest question, I think, on this map is it easier? Is the distance between the third or the fourth base and the main, is it easier to defend against that Terran drop play? And I'm really not sure. I feel like it's a little bit more condensed on Polar Knight.
Yeah, it's... And also, like, since for example, in the main base of the Zerg, you know, there's a lot of space around to drop. It's going to be harder to put down something like Spores and Spines. So I think overall it's still pretty good for Terran, although you can still do a pretty good job to spot it if you leave Overlords everywhere. Then again, Hack could get a Viking. Everything has an answer in StarCraft. That's the beauty of this game.
It's the beauty of the game. Now, Snute did get his Overlords in. He's confirmed the third command center. He knows exactly what is available to Hack at this point in the game. Another interesting thing to point out, Hack once again choosing to go for the barracks before his engineering base. And it's kind of a neat thing to do. Snute this time around is actually opening up with 7 Roaches. The Hellions are coming.
Oh, the drone?
Is Hack going to run in again?
Yeah, a drone went by. He just walked by those Hellions here, and he's going to put down the Force base. That was not supposed to happen. The longer you can delay this as Terran, the happier you're going to be.
Yeah, that was one of the luckiest drones ever. And now these drones being transferred down. He sends one Hellion this time just to get a bit of scouting information, sees the Roaches and sees the drones coming in. But you know, he has not yet, of course, spotted that fourth base. The engineering bays are starting up. Getting the barracks before the engineering base, pretty safe way to play. He doesn't want to take the risk of being hit with something that'll kill him around that 10-minute mark. But the evolution chambers are starting up for Snute as well. So the upgrade timing should be pretty similar.
Yeah, it's not standard to start Steam before the double engineering bay, is it?
No, it generally is. You want to start Stim, and then about a couple seconds into that, you take your second gas, and then you move into the engineering base.
Okay.
It's more innovation style, but getting the barracks first is just a little bit more safe.
Yeah. I guess the advantage of that is that when he starts getting Medivacs, he's already going to have Steam and Combat Shield, so his pressure is going to be that much stronger than usual.
Yeah.
But I guess he was going to have the upgrades a little bit later.
It's a lot about the infrastructure. There are some very powerful attacks that can hit, and it's also comes into play on this map, as we discussed. Taking the third base can be quite difficult with all of this space between the natural and the third. There's a lot of wide open areas. This isn't something like Belshir Vestige where you can easily wall that off. And Snute playing incredibly greedy. 12 drones. He has his lair coming in. Todd, you kind of mentioned this before this series started. Snute, if he can be greedy, he will be the greediest man.
As risky as this is, if he can pull it off, which so far he has been in this game, he's going to be in a great position. I mean, Snute right now is on 72 drones already. He's finally starting to get some Zerglings. He's making 18 at the time now. He's got his 1-1 going. His 1 melee attack actually started a little bit late here, but Hack is just going to take his own third, not as a planetary fortress. Still as an orbital command, I think he's going to start applying some pressure from there.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, like you said, the benefit of being able to, of getting those earlier barracks is when the medevacs do pop out, you have a little bit more to work with. You can have a little bit more to help shove these Roaches away. The Spire is coming in as well for Snute, and he has that fourth base secure. I think the cool thing, as soon as the Spire comes out, it's so much easier to defend these bases, but we do have the SCV at the tower. Should be able to see some of these units coming in on the left side.
Wow.
The Hellions getting caught off guard by these Roaches, though. The bio is here to save the day.
And I have to say, like in this situation, as Snute, you know the aggression is going to be headed towards you very, very soon. You would like to have the Watchtowers as much as possible to see open his army. And now Snute, he was denied the Watchtowers for a very long time. So he's morphing in Banelings quite late. There is a drop in the main as well.
Yeah, really nice. Without the Baneling speed, it's quite difficult to actually catch these forces. Does get a great detonation off, though, picking off the majority of them. And he can still dance around. He can still fit him in this medevac. The medevac is about to hit the main base, dropping now behind that mineral line, seeing how much he can do. He should be able to confirm at least a few of these buildings. There's spore crawlers being built, but like you said, Todd, it's so difficult to cover all the angles in the main base.
On this map, it's really, really hard, actually. Snute is starting to leave some units a little bit everywhere. Oh, this drop in the main. Hellions were dropped in the main. You don't see this every day.
No, he's just trying to do the most with what he has, and it's really Hack just trying to get this ragtag home pressure. We have double medevac on the right side of the map as well, getting ready to move into that third base. This is what we're talking about, peeling him apart. But as far as the first game, when we talked about how he had the Marines left over by that earlier main base, so there's only one area that he's attacking now. Snute can focus his defenses here on protecting this base.
Yeah, no, he's going to be a little bit late here to maybe save this queen. Oh, it barely escapes with 4 hit points. Oh, he's going to drop. Oh, he gets it.
Really
nicely done by Hack here. Snute still ahead on supply, but Hack, he's now attacking the third base of the fourth base.
Yeah,
one of the base.
He's everywhere now. They're dropping the natural. He's trying to pressure that fourth base. The Banelings are here as well. Widowmine grabbed 15 kills. Some nice Baneling detonations helped to clean that up. The natural expansion now picked clean. And Snute doing a much better job of defending than he did the last game.
And one of those Widowmines here got a ridiculous connection on that left-hand side base. 15 kills on it right now, just from hitting once.
Yeah, it's It's crazy what Widowmines can do sometimes, Todd, huh?
It is.
We have the 2-2 on the way. Another solid detonation. Not quite as big, but he's scanning. And keeping the Widowmines alive is really nice. Getting those extra detonations out. He's brought forth more reinforcements. There's so much bile here. It just comes down to the splitting. Might need to load up in these medevacs. And some more great shots in these mines.
That was very, very close here. This almost hit all of the 10 units. Oh my god, Hack is so good with medevacs.
Yeah, it's really that great control. You know, it's one of those situations where since the Mutalisks aren't out yet, they're 12 about to pop, but now it's going to be a little bit harder. Instead of splitting, he was able to just jump in his medevacs. Now he really has to control perfectly to win these engagements because the Mutalisks will try to focus down these medevacs. And during this time, he's secured that third base, and he has another drop heading over towards the third of Snute.
Yeah, and this could do a lot of damage here. Snute has to react very quickly. Hack is everywhere right now. He's forcing mistakes out of Snute. He's trying to bring him out of position. Oh, the Banelings.
Yeah, he's bringing pressure on all fronts right now, and he also never got that +2 melee attack coming in, pressuring that third base. He's also moving in towards the main. He's had an absurd number of units killed this game, bringing in 36 more Lings are coming in to try and reinforce, but the third hatchery does get picked off, manages to load up the majority of those Marines. Some solid Baneling hits. Sporecrawler trying to help deter those, but already another wave of units is here for Hack. Snute needs to shut this down.
And I don't know by how exactly right now, by what kind of miracle, but Hack is everywhere. Somehow, he's only killed 5 drones. Snute's thinking about counter-attacking here, maybe? I don't think that would be very wise. Considering he hasn't lost that many drones, he should just pull back, keep on defending for now. He's been doing well enough. He took some damage, he lost one of his hatcheries on the right-hand side, but he still got 85 drones alive.
Yeah, this is a staggering contrast to the last game, Todd. He took so many losses in trying to defend, but by keeping the economy alive, he's also kept that supply lead this time around. And here he goes, pressing in. The Widowmines burrowing a little bit late, not able to join the party just yet. Picks off a few of those Zerglings, and with the Overseer here, he can help to clean up these mines a little bit more quickly. Snute has what he needs to defend. It comes down to the control in this engagement. Here come the Banelings. The Widowmines are in position of these Banelings in a great focus. There's still Marines here to continue to bring the pressure.
Yeah, nice micro here by Snute. He's going to pull back right on time, and he's going to be able to start mining against on his right-hand side base here in a second. He's still on layer tech, though. Like, if Hack can get 3-3 upgrades for his bioforces, it's going to become very difficult for Snute to be able to stay in this game. But right now, he has the supply lead, and, oh, actually, he hadn't started Zerg melee attacks level 2. He just does now.
Yeah, he just now started it, but 3-3 is on the way for Hack. And as you stated, without that hive, I don't even think he has the infestation pit together.
Oh, wow.
He can't get his own +3-3. The Mutalisks coming in, trying to put some pressure towards this fourth base. Some Banelings, Banelings actually get caught out of position.
There's so many Mutas.
He's going to taking a lot of damage on these Mutalisks.
There is 28 Mutas out right now on the map against 40 Marines. If you get some good connection on those Banelings, those Mutas are going to go around uncontested. It's all about the Widowmines, and actually, Hack did something very smart. He left some Widowmines on his third base as well as the Sensor Tower, which is most likely going to get sniped. Oh, there's Overseers with those Mutas. They could snipe all of those Widowmines.
Yeah, very nice play. Now that Overseer speed buff, very useful. Snipes off one. Does manage to grab a Mutalisk with the mine before it dies, but
he spared the Sensor Tower.
He saved it.
Oh, Snute spared it.
Is a mercy granted to the Sensor Tower?
He wanted a handicap.
Fair enough.
Snute now trying to add on even one more base.
Well, that Sensor Tower tells him exactly where the Zerg force is on the left side of the map. He's pushing towards the top right side while rallying towards the left, and he does need those mine shots. Does manage to take out a couple chunks of Zerglings, but these missile turrets, decent job of reinforcing, and of course attacking into the planetary fortress. That splash damage is so strong, but now he's pressing in towards that rebuilt third base. Also, while dropping in the top left, fifth base, picks off the right side hatchery. Now the Mutalisks are coming in. Where are the Banelings? There's only 4 of them on the field right now. There's not enough to take this all out. He needs perfect connections with the few Banelings that he has. And now he's coming in. The 3-3 is about to finish up as well. Couple solid detonations from those Banelings, actually. Snute might be able to clean at least this part of the army up.
Yeah, but he took so much damage. Nice spines on one of his bases here are going to be able to help him buy some time. But, I mean, with the 3-3 on the way, drilling class about to finish, Hack has done enough damage here to possibly close this game behind this. Because right now, he's on 4 bases against the 3 bases for Snute.
Yeah, I mean, having the mules there, he's just pumping out so much bio right now. He's getting in a great position. The Mutalisks are trying to thwart this back, but he's pumping out endless amounts of Lings, but there are no more Banelings. Just now starting to morph more of them, and he's stuck on 2 bases. He's starting up his hive again, and you know, the last time that Snute started up a hive, he was pretty much almost out of the game. A couple more Widowmine detonations go off the Lings, trying to press Hack back, but the rallied reinforcements continuing to stream down the field with these medevacs. It's so difficult for Snute to knock him off.
Yeah, those mutas are going to do as much as they can, but against 3-3 bio forces, 3-3 Marines, they're not going to do that well. And they're pretty much all that Snute has left. He's got 15 mutas and 2 Zerglings right now against 34 Marines that are 3-3, 6 Widow Mines and 6 Medivacs.
And with 14 Marines coming out at a time, Snute taps out GG, taking the series 2-0 here at the Intel Extreme Masters New York City. And well, moving on to the group stage 2.
Okay, how much do you want to go for some ladder now, having seen that?
I feel pretty good watching that. It's so hard to emulate the
Really?
incredible play these guys bring, Todd.
But it feels very inspiring, no? Like you want to try at least.
I want to try getting my engineering base later, I guess.
Okay.
Not dying as much as Zerg.
All right. Snute, very manner as always, going to shake Hack's hand here. And yeah, Hack is going to be one of the players moving on to the group stage, which is going to be revealed later.
Yeah, that group stage. I mean, it's a nice win to get into the group stage 2, but it only gets harder from there on out.
Yes.
Just so many great players left in this tournament. It's actually really scary, Todd.
It is scary, isn't it?
Well, it's scary for a Terran. There's not too many of them. Only one of them able to make it out of the open bracket stage.
So there's 3 in total.
Yeah.
Out of 16 players.
There's
But one of them is
Terrans.
going to win, as always.
Hopefully not. Don't want any more complaints. But yeah, so great, really great games. I don't really know. That's all I got, Todd. How you feel about that match overall?
Oh, it was pretty cool. I think Hack was very impressive. Like I really thought Snute was the favorite, and somehow Hack really brought it and played very. After I saw this game, I think he can beat any Zerg in this tournament.
Yeah, really great recovery versus San. But we do have the winners interview ready with StarTale Hack. Take it away, Smix.
Congratulations, Hack, on advancing to the group stages tomorrow. 일단 축하드리고요. 이제 다음 조로 진출했는데 이제 스누트 선수를 만났어요. 스누트 선수 많은 해외 팬들도 엄청 많고 팀 리퀴드에서도 인기도 엄청 많고 잘하는 저그 선수로 좀 유명한데 그래서 조금 긴장을 했어요? 아니면 처음부터 자신 있었어요?
원래 저그전이 좀 자신 있는 편이어가지고 그렇게 긴장은 안 했고요. 그냥 평소에 하던 대로만 하면 된다고 생각했어요.
So I asked Hack, Snute is a widely, very renowned player in the foreign community, has so many fans on Team Liquid. I asked him if he felt nervous going into that game or if he felt confident. And, he says, actually, I'm very confident in my ZVZ. I just felt if I played my own game, then I would be able to do well. And he sure did. 이제 이 경기를 하면서 이 대회를 진출했잖아요. 혹시 아시는지 모르겠지만 그룹 B로 진출했어요. 그 조에서는 나니와 송현덕 선수 그다음에 QX이 있어요. 그거에 대해서 어떻게 생각하세요?
일단 나니아 선수는 예전에 같이 숙소 생활을 했었는데 굉장히 잘하는 선수여가지고 좀 긴장되긴 하고, 그리고 송현덕 선수는 이제 제가 다른 데에서 또 하게 돼요. 그 선수랑. 그래서 좀 준비를 많이 해야 될 것 같고, QXC 선수는 제가 아는 정보가 별로 없어가지고 잘 모르겠어요.
So I asked him, Hack, you're now in Group B. Group B is composed of Nanawa, Hero, and QXC. How do you feel about that? He says, in terms of Nanawa, I've actually lived with him in a team house before, so I know he's a very good player, so I know that I'll have to prepare a lot for him. In terms of Hero, he says he actually has to play Hero in another tournament, so he knows Hero is a really, really good player, so he has to prepare very hard for him. And in terms of QXC, he says he actually doesn't know much about QXC, so he's not sure about him. 이제 이 대회에서 엄청 잘하는 선수들 많잖아요. 그래서 자신 있으세요? 목표가 뭐세요?
제가 이번에 온 게 첫 해외 대회예요. 그래가지고 좀 긴장되긴 한데 그래도 최대한 성적 낼 수 있는 만큼 노력해가지고 한 4강 이상은 노려보도록 하겠습니다.
So I asked Hack, how do you feel? This is your first major foreign tournament. What are your goals? And he said, yeah, this is my first foreign tournament. I am a little bit nervous, but I do want to do well, and my goal is to make it at least to the round of 4. So cheer for him, you guys. Let's hope he does really well in the group stages tomorrow. Without further ado, let's head over to our expert analysis, Apollo.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Sue, for a wonderful interview once again. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to take a minute of your time, or a couple of minutes, to kind of look at that second game that we just saw from Snute and kind of identify the way that he played, the way that mistakes happened, and the reason why he lost the game. So before we really get going into this, we actually saw something a little bit unique from Zerg players that we don't really see too often in this matchup, and it's actually Overlord speed. Being 0-1 down in this series, Snute didn't want to lose to, let's say, a Blue Flame Hellion build, some kind of fast stim attack, so he actually decides to spend 100 gas on the Overlord speed to make sure he sees the third command center. As soon as he sees that, he knows that the only units that threaten him are Hellions, and he wants to play greedy upon seeing it. So what he ends up doing is building 9 roaches, and look at the timing of the fourth command center, the fourth hatchery, incredibly early. So he decides to play very greedy off the back of 9 roaches and Overlord speed to drone up as much as possible to get a really good economy for the mid game. Because he realizes 3 command center build, you can't do anything to me early. So if we fast forward it here, I really want to get to the mid game, around 12 minutes or something along there. And I want to look at how he took damage and what did he do with all that money that he really invested in so early on because he helped his economy out so much. So what ends up happening here is a lot of attacks are going on. So far it's kind of equal. At this stage, a Terran player is meant to be doing damage to you, but there was one move on this right-hand side here that really hurt him a little bit. As he came in and he picks off this queen. Losing the queen at this point, when you're trying to play with so much money, is actually really important not to lose it because you need to hit your lava injects. And after losing this queen, his money starts to really climb high. So if we fast forward it and just focus on his money, if you can kind of see up here, it's like 1,500 gas, and he goes up to 1,000 minerals, supply capped at 146 for ages. When you invest in so much money in your economy and you don't spend it and get supply capped, obviously the plan is not working very well. But good side, when he finally spends all his money, we see a massive amount of Mulists come in. So if we fast forward it, he finally spends his gas and really increases his unit count. From this point, when he recovers from his 4th base being lost, 11 Mutalisks, 15 Banelings. It's a lot of units. So from this position, he starts to get back in the game. Look at the supplies, 165 to 130, he's winning. But where did it go wrong? Let's fast forward a little bit more. And it was really on the 4th planetary. We saw an attack come in. And all of a sudden, let's look at those numbers. Already starting to drop down. If we fast forward, there's another attack that really puts the nail in the coffin. So it's about a minute, 2 minutes from now. So he comes around here to the 3rd. He cycles back round to the 4th. And now this attack costs him the game. Comes in with everything. And just watch it. Like, he doesn't really do anything. He comes in, kills a few units, the planetary turret and Marines push him off. From this position, look on the other side of the map. He's about to lose his 4th base. He actually has a drop that's killing his 5th base. And then he didn't trade off very well. Look at the supplies. 179 to 188. And his opponent's about to have 3-3. So we fast forward it from this position. Losing that 4th, losing the 5th, not trading cost efficiently anymore and having the high Mulist count do the damage. They're not fighting units. They're meant to be defending and harassing, not really taking Marines on head on. And from this position, unfortunately, even though we started to get back in the game, towards the end, crumbled and it fell apart from him. And unfortunately, he's not going to make it to the main tournament. But of course, StarTale Hack is. So thank you for listening and taking the time to listen to what I've got to say on my screen of knowledge. I'm going to head over to Red Eye, who's on the main stage.
Thank you very much, Apollo. Fantastic analysis once more. Crumbled, I think, was the key word in there. And of course, that's how not to play ZVT. That's pretty much how I play as well. I'm joined by Kalaris and also by Smix up on the stage. We're just going to wrap up the day because, lady and gent, that's it for today in terms of the competition. We're going to run through the groups and the brackets a little bit in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the results from Bracket A. Highlights for you, Kalaris.
Well, if we go into Group A, I think the highlight for me was just I like the way that Hack was able to handle a very, very tense ZVT situation at the very end. It can be a little bit difficult to get the splits right, but what was really, really masterful there was his ability to attack certain locations at exactly the same time and really keep his opponent on his toes. So it takes a lot of skill, and Hack has shown that in the GSTL more so than not previously, and translated that really nicely today.
Yeah, and San as well. Let's talk about him because he came through 3 games out of 3, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. I mean, it didn't even look like he'd gone up a gear.
Yeah, for San, it's an odd thing because he's always overshadowed. Wherever he goes, he's always overshadowed, never really considered to be the big hard hitter. but he's quietly in his corner of the world, just doing as he wants to and playing very, very well at the highest of levels.
Yeah, Sue, you interviewed him earlier, and that's pretty much what came out of it.
I've talked to a lot of different players about Son and how he seems to do really, really well when he's just at home or in a not live setting. He does very, very well. He always does really well in qualifiers. He always qualifies for Code A, Code S. But when it comes to these live lands, he does well for a certain point, and then when it gets to when he actually needs to do well, he crumbles under the pressure. So a lot of people have been saying that, yes, he's a really good player, but he just succumbs to the nerves. So we'll see whether he's able to overcome that this tournament. I don't know, I'm kind of rooting for him. I feel like it's about time for him to make a name for himself and not just be that sort of faceless Korean that does really well and then disappears.
All right, well, that was the bracket A. Let's take a look at bracket B. There was also some great players in here as well today. I mean, when you look through it, you think, okay, there's some home heroes here. There's Suppy in there, there's Sasquatch there, and you think, if they could just, somehow get through and get to that last game, it could get at least one of them out of here that would be non-Korean. Let's talk about the first part, though, because Life and Don Regu looked on paper like that was it. I mean, these two were head and shoulders above everyone in that half of the bracket. That's the final we got, but Don Regu was awesome in that final.
Yeah, game number one for him was really, really impressive. And again, I kind of got those feelings back to the Iron Squid 2 final that we saw from him. But this time, Life didn't pull it around. He didn't turn it around, and Don Regu was able to prevail because he looked fantastic. He was always one step ahead of Life, who is considered one of the best players in the world. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and then at the bottom of the bracket, Suppy and Sasquatch playing off. Sasquatch winning that one, now plays Life, and I don't want to be too mean here, but you have to say he starts as a massive underdog.
I do want to say, though, that I've talked to Life about this at the last tournament that I saw him at and at this tournament, and he's always mentioned that he hates ZVZ. He told me that he doesn't know what's really going on, he doesn't really know the timings of attacks, he isn't sure what to expect from his players. So if there's ever going to be a way for a foreign player to beat Life, it's a Zerg player. So Sasquatch, best of luck.
I think that's probably what it is right now. It's a bit of luck. We also have the group drawing for you. So if you hadn't already seen this, we had 12 players already. We've got 3 of the 4 that we needed, but we've just got 1 space remaining, which you've seen on the screen. We'll go into Group A, so let's not talk about that just for now. Group B, though, has Hack, Hero, QXC, and Naniwa in it. And I don't want to be mean again here, but our friend QXC has got a bit of a mountain to climb to get out of that one, hasn't he?
I think he had the same situation in the last IEM as well.
He gets all the bad groups. He actually told me once, is it you drawing the groups, Red Eye? Because I always get bad players.
Yeah, he's always had a hard time. But, it's always weird because you see QXE come into these tournaments and he always has something a little bit special planned, which is always nice to see if it unfolds to his plan. But such a mountain to climb, as you said.
So Group C, 3 Koreans in that group and 1 American again. And Curious Flash, aka God, Don Regu, and State. I mean, dare I say it, but State has an even bigger mountain than QXC does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, State. I mean, at least in the group what was the last group we were, QXC? At least in that group, we have 1 other foreigner. State, on the other hand, is the only foreigner in his group, and it's not even like any of those Koreans are lackluster Koreans. You have Flash, Curious, and Dong Regu. Dong Regu, who is, for a lot of 2012 considered one of the best players in the world. Flash, the ultimate weapon.
Flash.
Exactly. And Curious has always been one of the most consistent players, always in Codas. I mean, I'm sorry, State. This is going to be a Mount Everest to climb for you.
All right, well, those 4 groups will be played out, the start of which will be played tomorrow, of course, and then we'll move on through to the playoffs and the grand finals on Sunday. $25,000 up for grabs, of course. Any final thoughts on the week ahead?
I'm looking out for Curious, man. There's a lot of high-profile Koreans here, but after seeing Curious play out the Korean qualifiers, oh my God, did he look really, really good.
He did. And Sue, I'm going to put you on the spot. Be careful what you say now. Who are you cheering for?
I'm going to be really boring and not choose one player, but I do want to say there are a lot of Korean players here who have done really well, but haven't actually won a big tournament yet. So there's, San is one of those players. I feel like Curious is also one of those players. There's a lot of Koreans here that are a little faceless, and I really want them to make a face for themselves. I want them to elevate to the level of, the Koreans we see all the time, MC, I don't know, just MC level. I want them to create a personality for themselves. So.
I think we just drew a new line. We've got the grubby line. I think we've got the MC line now, and it's totally to do with personality. That's it from us here at the Intel Extreme Masters in New York at Comic-Con for day 1 of 4. Make sure you come back tomorrow at 10:30 local time for the Intel Extreme Masters. We continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for coming down to see us at the Javits Center. We'll see you tomorrow.